Hey everybody, before we get started today, I want to thank my new sponsor Podcorn for making this episode a reality. I've been comping drinks all season long, and Podcorn decided to step up and take care of the tab, and I can't thank them enough. Podcorn is an advertising marketplace for podcasters like myself and, well, myself, and they connect hosts with sponsors directly and cut out the middleman. Who's the middleman? An ad agent. Think Don Draper taking 15%. I actually have an agent. She says we're going places. She's a travel agent, so I totally believe her. Just kidding. No, seriously, Podcorn is amazing. I didn't know how I'd ever be able to actually monetize, but with Podcorn, I have. And if you're thinking about starting a podcast or have one now, I can't recommend Podcorn enough. I can't. Total transparency, you keep creative control, and my listeners know how I don't water things down. And Podcorn makes it easy to meet up. It's like Tinder for sponsors, except different. Anyways, click on my show notes to get all the deets. Trust me, it's the best move a podcaster can make. Podcorn. Check it out. Dear Post Malone, maybe your rosé is decent, but try bottling it in a way you can get the fucking fake glass lucite or whatever the fuck cork out of the damn thing without almost dropping it. But you're a sunflower. I'm sure you've never worked in a bar. Or at a job. Ever. What can I get you? Drunk? Welcome to episode 30 of Behind Bars, Cocktails, and Wasted Nights. I'm your host, Greg. I've been working as a bartender for over 20 years, and over those years, I've seen a lot. My goal here is to share some of those high and low lights with you. Quick warning, this podcast contains sex, drugs, and some language that isn't suitable for anyone under 21 years of age, so you gotta have some ID. Okay, before you head out tonight, let's get you a joke. It's a dad joke, so apologies in advance. Why does a chicken coop have 2 doors? 'Cause if it had 4, it'd be a chicken sedan. Yeah, maybe I'll stop the joke feature. Never! I'm a double down, in fact. Why did the Scarecrow win an award? He was outstanding in his field. Okay, before we get started, you'll need a drink. I made this one up, so go easy on me. I call it the Queen Anne's Revenge, 'cause it's kind of piratey. It's got some English and Spanish shit going on with gin and rum. It basically tastes like you're on vacation in the Caribbean, but if you're stuck inside a hotel bar because there's a fucking hurricane dumping sheets of rain down outside. In a mixing tin filled with ice, combine 3/4 of an ounce of gin, I like Bombay, 3/4 of an ounce of dark rum, not Myers or Black Seal Dark, think Zacapa or Diplomatico. Add 3/4 of an ounce of lime juice and shake. Dirty dump into a Collins glass, top with ginger beer and 3 dashes of bitters, and enjoy. And if you don't feel like pausing this to get all that shit, just go to Old Faithful, a shot of tequila, and a key bump. Okay, folks, this episode's going to be a little different. I've been getting some emails and some comments that are basically accusing me of hating the service industry and that I only stay in it because of sex and drugs and the occasional adventure. To everyone who said that, wow, True Detective has nothing on you. You must be with Scotland Yard. Of course I can't stand it. Why? Because I'm a human being with thoughts and, more importantly, emotions. Beware the ones who love the industry and never break, because that's some sociopathic Dexter-level shit. Anyways, for this episode, I'm going to tell you some stories that explain one simple reason why I'm still in the service industry. And that reason is this. I can't do anything else. I'm serious. I'm legitimately wholly incompetent. It's why I attempted a writing career. With that, I just have to sit down and type, and I can't really break anything. But even bartending as long as I have, I'm barely okay at it. That said, what you're about to hear is a sort of collage of me fucking up every other job I've ever tried. Where to begin? Well, to start off, I'm pretty sure my dad only had kids for the tax deductions and free landscaping work. Don't worry, this isn't going to be a therapy session. But if I'm being honest, my dad was obsessed with his yard. Obsessed. We had plants and shrubs and trees and stadium landscape with the waterfall with fucking fish in the pool at the bottom. Please understand, we weren't rich. That's just where all the available money went. The yard. Anyways, my siblings and I were the maintenance crew. Mowing, edging, mulching, spring and fall cleanups, dethatching, loaming, planting, pruning, the whole shebang. If you were my friend who came for a sleepover, you'd be out in the garden pulling weeds with me the next morning to pay your nightly rent. While it sucked out loud, the cool thing was the way my dad paid us. When we were done, he'd hand us a lighter and a shitload of illegal fireworks. Yeah, being a young Gen Xer was tits sometimes. Parenting was way more of a do whatever but try not to set yourself on fire approach. We rode bikes without helmets, never wore seatbelts, and breathed secondhand smoke when winter car commutes dictated that the windows be up all the way. I swear I would have been taller if not for that, but I digress. Anyways, after I got myself in way too much trouble for blowing shit up with my friends, Pops and me transitioned into a labor for cash relationship. This was tenuous though. While I got paid $20 to cross-cut and contour stripe our perfectly manicured lawn, I'd have to pay for sprinkler heads I accidentally scalped when I was trying to get the shit done at high speeds. I think I was actually in the red one June. Point is, I learned something. That I hated manual labor. I hated working for my dad. I needed to work somewhere with strangers who couldn't also ground me if the situation were to arise. So, I got a job bussing and washing dishes at a big boy on Sundays, when entire families went for breakfast. Seriously, I don't know how the fuck the IHOP and Denny's staffs do it, especially since their clientele is fucking ham-boned and obnoxious as fuck. Anyway, as per usual, I was wiping down a table where some 6-year-old shit factory puked, and when I finally filled my bus tub of half-digested pancakes and bile, I turned around and knocked over one of those huge fucking trays on a stand servers use when they have those huge fucking trays. Lucky for me, every family member's plate was on the floor, now mixed with puke, and I had the honor of cleaning it all up. While on my knees, humiliated, listening to them all bitch about what happened as I shoveled their floor waffles into my vomit tub. Fuck that server for not saying behind. Oh, by the way, just say behind. Don't say coming behind you. You know who you are, and you know why you do it. Anyways, after that incident, they weren't too keen on me, and I wasn't keen on them. Finally, after a shift when I started walking home and my girlfriend's brother started a fight with me in the parking lot, long story there, I decided to end my dishwashing career. You know how embarrassing it is to throw punches in a butter and syrup stained shirt with a kerchief? Fucking embarrassing. Anyways, I got by doing my own landscaping stuff for neighbors and shoveling driveways when a crew who did the big shit for my dad decided to hire me. These guys truly scaped the land. They had a 1-ton truck and towed a trailer with ginormous John Deere mowers and Ghostbuster backpacks on it. When they left the job site, the earth looked different. True work had been done there, by men. Here's the thing. I can't build or fix anything. I seriously keep jobs because I can make people laugh, and if you can make people happy, they tolerate a lot of fuck-ups to keep you around. But this crew was the real deal. We were installing sprinkler systems, building stone walls, and I worked my ass off, but I was clearly in over my head. Literally. And it wouldn't be long before destiny did the inevitable and outed me as an accident waiting to happen. At the time, I was in a band and had really long hair, which I'd pull through the hole in the back of a Red Sox hat. While on a mowing job, I was guiding a 54-inch deck self-propelled John Deere around a tree, trying to get super close so my boss wouldn't have to weed whack around it, and therefore be impressed with my mastery of the hulking and expensive machine. As I wound closer around the tree, ducking low to avoid the branches, my ball cap's visor caught one and flew off my head. My hair fell down into my face, covering my eyes. Blinded, I immediately hit my forehead on another branch and instinctively let the mower go. The blade disengaged. The engine disengaged. All the safety features John Deere intended worked beautifully. Unfortunately, so did the scientific phenomenon of momentum. I flipped my mane back just in time to watch the yellow and green giant silently coast to an embankment, gain more speed as it dove downhill, and crashed into a knee-deep creek, water gushing over the engine. My cigar-smoking boss, who wore shades that darkened in the sunlight, was blowing clippings off the home's driveway when he powered the backpack down to see me approaching in my soaked jeans and squishy-shoed walk of shame. He took out his earplugs, and I told him what happened. It took 3 of us and some bungee cords attached to the truck to tow it out of the water and back up to the flat part of the yard. Not only were we down a mower, we were way behind schedule. We'd have to split the crew, and I'd have to go back to his house and get another mower. Alone. I had no experience driving a 1-ton dump truck, let alone with a trailer attached, but obviously I wouldn't protest anything after what just happened. I had a lot to make up for, and I would have to get over my fear and tackle this obstacle. The guys left for the next site, and I climbed into the truck. I started her up, and the gas gauge immediately lit up. Fuck my life. No problem, Greg. Keep calm. This isn't a problem. This is an opportunity. I would fill the tank and pay for it myself. I immediately got out and noted the tank was on the driver's side. There was no way I was going to find myself in a I have to back up this truck with a 15-foot trailer on it situation. Once I got out of the driveway, it was fine. I was actually doing it. I felt like a real man driving a big truck with fucking equipment, tools, real guy shit. I'd worked another job with another crew before this, and the boss had the same kind of truck, and now I knew what it felt like for him being behind the wheel. King of the road. I pulled into the thankfully vacant gas station, driver's side adjacent to the pumps. I got out my credit card and began paying my penance to the boss. I watched the numbers spin by. Shit, this was getting expensive. I was working for free today. No matter. It was the least I could do. Fill the guy's tank. The nozzle kicked off, and I hung it up, screwed the cap on, and flipped the door shut. I climbed into the truck and started her up. She roared to life, and the needle pegged way past the F on the gauge. Fuck yeah. He was going to love this. I threw it in drive, pulled out onto the street, and right there, in the middle of 2 lanes, the engine's roar turned to a whimper, then sputtered, then stalled. See, unlike that other cruise truck, apparently this one didn't run on diesel fuel. Shit. After the cops came to put down cones to redirect traffic and some DPW guys siphoned out the gas, I noticed how I hadn't died or become invisible as I'd prayed for. They thankfully didn't fire me, but I decided then and there that college might be the better path for me, and that I really shouldn't do things with heavy equipment ever again. Well, I still had a while to go before I could enroll in the next semester at community college, so my friend Dean got me this job doing carpentry. I know, me. Carpentry? This was the worst idea ever. Something you should know about me. In 6th grade, when shop was a required course, a classmate of mine, Jeff, sliced 2 of his fingers off on the jigsaw on day 1. I spent the next 6 months hiding in the bathroom during that period. No fucking way was I going to that class, ever. So, as a result, I have 0% mechanical aptitude and 100% ineptitude. The other thing I had was a brand new car, and I needed to make those payments, so I didn't really have a choice in the matter. Cut to me in a house working on a job where we're vaulting ceilings into cathedrals with skylights. Day 1, I fucked up. Dean and I were instructed to take hammers to the walls and strip all the sheetrock off the studs. We were also instructed to be careful of the chimney. No matter what, don't fuck up the chimney. Of course, I wanted to show my boss what a great decision he made by hiring me and wanting to get as close to the chimney as possible so he'd have less drywall to pry off. I knocked about 3 bricks out of the chimney on my next errant hammer swing, so had to replace that. It was expensive, but if I'm being honest, the marble facade looked way better. After that debacle, and several others involving me being unable to unscrew, fasten, or saw things, I was eventually put into the dumpster, where I'd arrange things to make more space. Yep, the dumpster. They hired another laborer to replace me while I played Tetris with wood. It was the safest place for me. I couldn't break anything or hurt anybody. Of course I stepped on exposed nails a few times, but wouldn't tell a soul and just hide my limp. Pretty sure I had tetanus. Eventually my friend Dean, who got me the job, quit like a bitch, which put me back in the house with Joel, the boss, who would constantly berate me each and every day. All summer long through this project, all he'd say when we were dragging ass at the end of the day is that we'd better pick up the pace when the sheetrock guys came. It was almost ominous. I began to dread the day the sheetrock guys would come. Apparently, they worked by the job, not the hour, so they wanted in and out. Our shit had to be on point so they could hang the drywall and GTFO. Eventually, I started to get the basics and at least not hurt anyone or break anything else. Joel was OCD about cleaning up at the end of the day, and I busted my ass to make the site spotless each and every day, and I think he appreciated it. The ceiling got to the point where we had to install furring. I don't know if that's what it's called. They're just like smaller than 2x4s, and you use them to prep the ceiling or some shit like that. Anyways, he trusted me to handle snapping the chalk line so he could line that shit up. I'd hold one end of the furring and he'd shoot it in there with the nail gun. Everything was going okay until the one time he asked me to hand him the nail gun. I was balancing on scaffolding, holding a plank of furring against the ceiling beams, and with my free hand, I picked up the nail gun, and he did not at all like the fact that I handed it to him business end first. What the fuck? It was the best I could do while I was doing twister on scaffolding 8 feet above the floor. Should I have pointed it at myself and handed it off? Oh, didn't matter, because it immediately was pointed at me anyway. "How do you like it?" he said, menacingly aiming the gun in my face. "You like it when someone points a gun at you?" I could see a vein throb in his temple.